Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust.
And we have had quite a hectic past year.
We early retired, we sold the family home, we relocated to Yorkshire.
And it is just over a year since we picked up the keys to our forever home in the Yorkshire Dales.
So we thought we'd give you a quick update on the work that we've done so far.
When we first decided that we were going to move to the Yorkshire Dales, we never planned to buy a renovation project.
And it's fair to say if there were ever two people that were more unsuited to doing a renovation project, it was us two.
Yeah, we have no skills, no DIY skills whatsoever beyond painting.
So we were initially looking to head up to the Sedbergh and Kirkby Lonsdale area, and we had a very eventful first Saturday when we decided to go up and see some estate agents.
They were all closed, so we couldn't actually look at any houses. And it was a really wet, windy and wild Saturday morning, and we were driving back down through the Dales to go and visit Richard's parents, and I saw this house come up on Rightmove, and I said, oh, it's a bit of a renovation project, it's well within our budget. Shall we just go and have a look anyway, just to see what we'll get for our money?
And I'll be really honest, I wasn't a massive fan because the photos online were just horrific. It was like the worst photos you could ever put on for trying to sell a house.
But it was a renovation project, it is what it was. So we came and had a look. We were peeking in through the windows, and the lady that owns the house asked if we wanted to come and have a look in because she only lives just down the road.
So we came in, had a look around, and once we got over the initial, oh my life, what on earth, we had a wander around, and probably the main selling point was when we went up into the main bedroom and looked out and saw the most unbelievable views.
And it's just a really cute little cottage in a really lovely location. It's on a quiet little road. Yeah, we just looked at each other and decided that was it. It's a renovation project. It wasn't what we planned, but we fell in love with it.
And us two could never be accused of being impulsive, but we actually put an asking price offer in that very day. And then we went through what was a pretty torrid few weeks to try and secure the sale because it went to final bids and it was a really stressful time. But the more we thought about it, the more we realised that the location was exactly what we wanted and the potential for the house was just unreal.
And we've never actually looked back. We absolutely love the cottage now. We love what we've done with it. We love where we live. We love the neighbours. It's just such a lovely little place to be.
So what we want to do on this video is to take you around the house so you can see what it looks like now and perhaps look back a little bit and see what it was like when we first moved in, because when we've been looking back over some of our old pictures, it's quite frightening.
It's not, it's exciting. The difference is just amazing. We've made a proper little home. So if we take you on a little tour of the house, we need to start in the kitchen because this is where most of the changes took place and it's where we certainly put most of the money into. When we first looked around, there was 2 separate rooms downstairs. So we've had a wall taken out, which has just opened up the space, and the difference that it's made with the light is just amazing. There was, in that corner, a really large larder that my mum had always said that we should keep because larders are always really useful space, and I do agree with that bit, but it has opened up the kitchen. We needed the space for a dining area more than we needed a larder. We did get an architect to draw up some plans, and one of our initial ideas was that we were going to open up this wall here into a little outbuilding that we've got out there, but there was a problem that it was only single lined, and actually we've never regretted not doing that because this is such a cosy space now. And lots of advice from different people on YouTube and our family that a storage shed out there is a really handy thing to have. Most excitingly of all the renovation projects was being able to choose a brand new kitchen for ourselves, which we've never particularly done before. And it was really exciting planning how we were going to have the kitchen looking. We ended up with a really nice Howden's kitchen. I desperately wanted to have wooden worktops. And we did take lots of advice from the kitchen designers that that wasn't going to be something that would work particularly well with the wet area. And I really like the fact that we've got 2 different work surfaces in here now. So we've got an engineered oak worktop here and just a really nice laminate worktop over here with the wet area. And it works really, really well. The builders absolutely howled with laughter when they came in, because the first thing we bought when we moved into the house was a fridge freezer. It is huge, and we bought it thinking we're living in the middle of the Dales, we need to really stock up on food. We didn't have a fridge in the house at all, so we needed a fridge, and it was the bane of our life for about 6 months moving it around as we did the building projects. But I think you'll all agree it looks amazing there now, and we can shop to our heart's content.
For us as novice renovators, one of the biggest shocks was when the builders moved in. They were chomping at the bit because everything outside was frozen, so they wanted some work. So they were trying to harass us to come in and get going. And boy, did they get going on that first Monday. It will stay in my mind forever, because within 5-10 minutes of being on site, they were pulling ceilings down and they were really getting stuck in. But they were just the most unbelievable team of builders. Local lads came in, and within the week they'd made the transformations. For us it was shocking, and we remember coming back the first day when this wall had been taken out and the whole house was being held up on acros. And I know for anyone with experience that's not a scary proposition, but when your whole life savings are in a house and everything's just propped up on planks and acros, it was a little bit scary. But the transformation over the course of the next few days was quite remarkable, as we went from living on a building site with just nothing to actually a pretty completed new interior for the downstairs. With such an old property, one of the challenges was always going to be keeping it warm. We are really lucky because we're the middle of a set of terraces, so we've got next door neighbours where we benefit from the heat from their houses, but our front and back walls are particularly cold. So one of the decisions that we decided to do was to invest in having this back wall completely thermally insulated, and it has made a massive difference. This time last year in the house, it was freezing and we just could not get the house warm, and you could feel the heat just seeping out of the walls, whereas now it feels cosy, it's windproof. It is helped by the fact that we've got a completely sealed door, whereas when we first moved in, I had a lovely red rattly old door with gaps about that big underneath it where the gale just used to blow through. Something that we hadn't considered, and we listened to the builders and we're really glad that we took their advice, was on the quality of the walls and the ceilings. Their advice was to really start again. So here we had sound deadening plasterboards, we had all the ceilings removed and reboarded, and it's made such a difference to the quality of the finish and also just the general feel of the house. And I think on reflection, it made other tradespeople's jobs, like the electrician's job, much, much easier because they had complete access, which meant also downstairs we had a complete overhaul of the electric system. So we now know, and we've seen it close up and personal, as to where the electric systems work in this house.
Like most villages in the Yorkshire Dales, our village doesn't have gas, so it caused a bit of an issue of what we were going to do to heat the house. When we moved in, it had electric storage heaters, which I actually quite liked in that they worked overnight. The house was really toasty, but they ran out of heat and they were really still expensive to run on reflection. So we had to decide how we were going to heat the house. In the end, we decided that we would just go for electric radiators. There's only 4 rooms that need heating, and actually I think we've made a really good decision. It's on at the moment and it heats really, really quickly and makes the house toasty warm. For me, my absolute favourite part of the renovations was having the old fireplace taken out and this wood burning stove installed. It is just gorgeous. It's so nice to sit in an evening in front of the log burning fire. It's glows really warm, it makes the house really cosy, it makes it smell really nice, and the house heats pretty much all the way through if we leave the doors open. It didn't come without its trials though. When the installers came in, they had to open up the fireplace, take the old fireplace out, and they discovered, 1, there was no lintel, so they've had to put a lintel in there, and 2, they couldn't open it as wide as they wanted to. For us, actually, we think that's ended up a bonus because the fire's placed outwards a little bit, so we think it throws more heat out. For an old cottage, we even embraced a little bit of modern technology, and we decided to have, rather than just simple plugs, because we had everything rewired downstairs anyway, to go for a few plugs in each room that have got USB ports and USB-C, I think they're called, so that we can keep up with the times. And when our kids come and visit, and we have lots of visitors, you can just plug in your wires that are probably in your car, ready to go.
Past experience shows that me and Jackie do not look after floor coverings, and I don't think we could live in a house that has carpets. Never mind living the muddy Yorkshire Dales that has carpets, we would just total them. So downstairs we went for something that was just really durable, Antico flooring throughout. We had something similar in our family home and it lasted us well over 20 years and we love it. What it does surprisingly is it keeps the house really warm, and we naturally tend to walk around barefoot a lot of the time and we never have a problem with the cold coming up through the floor. As I've already mentioned, we had no renovation skills at all, but we knew that there were certain things that we were going to take on, so we decorated within an inch of our lives. But in terms of technical skills, it's a little bit embarrassing. My dad was a master craftsman, he was a joiner for life, and I had no skills like that. So I had to learn, using some of his old tools, how to fit all the skirting boards. And it took us forever, but the sense of achievement for me and Jackie doing that was just enormous. And it sounds really weird, but every time we walk through the house, we can look at that little bit of renovation and think, yeah, we did that and it was a job well done.
Richard's pride and joy for doing the renovations was having a go at doing the skirting. For me, I had to have a go at making the curtains because we couldn't afford to buy brand new ready-made curtains. And I have to say, I think I did a pretty good job and I really enjoyed learning how to make them.
Another moment of pride for me, 1 year on, is the curtain rail, in the fact that the curtain rail is still up there. Friends and family will know that in our last house I had various attempts at putting curtain rails up, all of which fell down. Imagine my delight when I ordered these industrial fittings and realised that they absolutely weigh a ton. But hey, 12 months on, they're still up there, they're not creaking too much, and they look all right.
And my curtains haven't fallen apart. We're on a win-win. I think the funnest part of the renovation project was doing all the finishing touches once the builders had left and we'd finished painting. I had lots of fun making different lampshades. I've made them for the bedrooms and some of the rooms down here. Finishing making the curtains. I still have got one set to make though for our bedroom. Although the stairs and landing were a really simple job to do, it involved days and days of wallpaper stripping. There were at least 3 layers of wallpaper on and also a layer of some sort of gloss paint underneath all of that wallpaper that we needed to get rid of. But it does make such a difference. It's just nice and clean. I stripped back the original banister and just gave it a wax and it looks lovely. It's really, really calm and beautiful up here now.
Another thing I'm particularly proud of in terms of the renovations is something that has become known as Richard's Cupboard. Colin, our plumber, when he was refitting the entire hot water system, just boxed it in and said, oh yeah, you can just make that into a cupboard, Rich, you'll be fine. Little did he know my complete and utter lack of skill, but it was a lovely project. It took us forever, and I'm pretty sure that if any joiners had a look at it, or if anyone looks at it too closely, it could potentially fall down. But it's okay, it hides our new modern hot water system, which we cannot believe the difference that that has made. It's made it really economical to make sure that we've got hot water just through electricity. And more importantly, it's a really safe system now, because the old system in the old house had a hot water overflow that ran straight into the bath. So that could have been a bit of a nasty surprise if the boiler ever boiled over.
So this is our master bedroom. Actually, for most of the renovation project, it was a little bit of a bed sit for us. We had to set up the kitchen upstairs because when the builders came in, we couldn't use downstairs at all for 3 months. There was no electricity or anything downstairs. And it was quite cosy. It had no heating in it. It was, yeah, we'll just show some photos of what it was like. For most parts, the bedrooms were actually the easiest parts of the whole renovation because basically we've just stripped the wallpaper back and we have painted. We do know they're probably the rooms that will need some sort of work on them in the next few years. They're still quite cold. They possibly need the walls insulating to trap a bit of heat in here. And also it's got sloped ceilings and we're pretty sure there's no insulation between the ceiling and the roof tiles. So still little jobs to do, but we love it in here. A fun little project for us was hiring a floor stripper and getting the floors all back to the natural wood. We really love the wooden floors. They can be a little bit noisy at times and I do still want a little bit of a rug to go in here, but yeah, it's just really pretty. This was the last part of the renovations. All the way through the project, this was our bedroom, it was our sanctuary, and it was one of the only places that had a heater in it as well. So yeah, we spent a lot of time in here. Another room that was pretty easy to renovate, we've literally just stripped the wallpaper and painted. But I do remember it nearly broke our hearts when we first did the painting. It was this wall here. We stripped all the other walls, and this wall was the only wall that was painted. So we thought, oh, we'll just paint on top of it. And then we came back up about 3 hours later, and the whole of the wall was bubbling, and we had to get back to the wallpaper strippers, completely strip it again and redecorate. So it did take a lot longer than we thought it would.
When we first came to look around the house, there were many shock factors, one of which was the bathroom. It was very, very dated. I think there's a difference between a functional bathroom and a comfortable bathroom, and it was definitely towards the side of functional. It did as well throughout the entire renovation. It had a really archaic old electric shower that gave us hot water, meant that we could keep clean, but it was the best day when Colin, the local plumber, had finished the renovation in here, because we've got a bathroom that's clean, it's warm, we can have hot showers whenever we wish, and we're just really, really pleased how it finished. Again, we worked really, really hard to make sure that it was fully insulated so that it is as good as it possibly can be in such an old cottage. But yeah, the difference is quite stark in here.
Something that we really liked when we moved into the house was these old wooden doors. There is a bit of a story behind them. Our next door neighbour tells us they think they're from a railway station in Lancaster, and it was actually panelling that's been made into doors. So we were going to strip them all back and paint them really nicely. Didn't quite work to plan like that. It was really hard stripping the paint. We bought a blasting paint stripper, a heat gun that didn't work. We tried different nitromorse type stuff that didn't work. And in the end, we did an experiment. There's 3 doors upstairs, and we did each one differently. This door, Richard spent days and days with the nitromorse and the heat gun, and you can still see bits of orange because it had so many layers of paint on it. In the end, we just gave up and painted white gloss on it. With the door in the spare bedroom, we literally gave it a quick sand and painted over it because we had had enough by then. The door in the bathroom, Richard attacked with a belt sander that he'd inherited from his dad and had a good go at trying to sand it and then painted over it. And actually, I think the one in the spare bedroom worked the best in the end. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the little tour around our lovely little cottage. It's certainly very different to what it was like this time last year when we first moved in. We definitely didn't want it to be a renovation project when we were looking to buy a house. And one of our biggest worries was finding builders and finding contractors that would do the work for us. Actually, it was one of the most enjoyable parts in the end. We had some amazing people that did the project with us.
And remember, we moved to an area where we didn't really know anyone, and there was that trepidation about, do you pick the right builder or not? And we landed with a really good builder, and through recommendations of fellow tradespeople, it just all seemed to drop into place. In the end, we didn't really have a choice about the time of year that the renovation would take place. We actually were really, really lucky, because getting the house in November, we really didn't think that we'd get builders until the following summer, particularly when we're in the Yorkshire Dales. But we were really lucky. The weather wasn't too great outside, and the builders were keen to start, and that whole process then just accelerated. And in reality, it only took us 3 months, but it was quite a 3 months going through winter.
Yes, I do have very clear memories of coming into the very cold house after being out all day where it was dark and dingy. We didn't have electricity downstairs. We didn't have any cooking facilities. We spent 5 months using an air fryer and Mum's single gas hob ring to cook everything from.
One of our crowning glories actually about this time last year was when we cooked a full roast beef Sunday lunch just using an air fryer and 1 gas burner, which was quite a miracle.
We even had Yorkshire puddings with it. It was ace.
So living through the winter and living through renovations in the winter was really challenging. But in reality, the whole project, although it felt like it was going on forever, only took 3 months.
And actually, we were away for quite a lot of it. We had 4 weeks in Phoenix in the middle of all of that. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been. And actually, I think living through all of that and us being able to choose everything that we wanted in the house, and the house is just as we wanted it to be, I think it's made us love the house just that little bit more.
And one thing for certain, we definitely could not have lived in a project while we were working. Being early retired and actually getting that project done early in our early retirement was just really the only way to do it.
Yeah, I've got a newfound admiration for people that are working, have children, and are living in a renovation or building project that's bigger than what we undertook, because that takes some doing if you're in there long term. There are still a few things that we know that we want to do in the future. We mentioned briefly earlier, upstairs we do know that we will probably have to do a little bit of work with the roof and insulating, particularly under the eaves of the roof.
And we've not even touched the garden because when we got to the end of the building renovation, we just didn't have any energy left, or in fact any summer left. So that's going to be a project for next year.
We also know, looking around the cottage, there were lots of tiny jobs, and I mean they're only half an hour jobs, that we do still need to finish. We kind of got to the end of the work in May, the builders all left, we finished painting, and we decided that we would start travelling again. And actually we keep forgetting about all those little bits now. We don't even seem to notice them, but they are there.
One of the big decisions we made in early retirement was to relocate to Yorkshire, and to be honest, over a year in, we're still not regretting it. We absolutely love our life in the Dales.
We do. We love our cottage. We love the village that we live in. We are really lucky. We've got really lovely neighbours. And we still get to see our family more than we actually saw them when we were working for most parts.
Yeah, we think we have got more quality time with our family and friends now that we're retired, because we're not restricted to seeing people at weekends, and we are still really well connected. We're only an hour and a half away from most of our family, so we can still keep those connections even though we are living in what we feel is the middle of nowhere.
And we're really excited because our family actually decided they wanted to come and spend the time with us in the village this Christmas. So we've got 14 people. What could go wrong? Christmas Day in a tiny cottage.
It's fair to say 14 people are not staying here. We have got various rentals around the village. So, hopefully the little cottage is going to be a central hub, and then people will disperse off.
Yeah, a Yorkshire Dales Christmas. Be ace.
So that was it. Really, our final reflections. I'm absolutely delighted that it didn't break us as a couple. We're still as strong as we are, and we really, probably on reflection, enjoyed the process.
I think we did. And actually, on reflection, although it felt like a big job to us, it actually probably was quite a little renovation project. So there wasn't too much stress involved.
It did stretch us. We learned loads of new things. And as Jackie said, we really do feel like we know the house now, inside out.
We did learn that it's not cheap to renovate a cottage. Everything seemed to be so much more expensive than we thought it would be.
And keeping stuff on budget is a real challenge. Would we do it again?
I'm not sure. I love our little cottage. We don't want to move. We see this as our forever home. I don't think I would do it again, but more from a cost point of view and keeping a control on that.
Yeah, I think it's just a moot point. We're really happy where we are, but if you are thinking about doing something like this, don't underestimate it, because it is a big challenge, but it's dead fulfilling in the end. So that's it.
Yeah, hope you loved our little cottage as much as we do.
See you later.
Bye.